try to keep you off your rhythm. Offensively, they run really, really good sets. They can shoot the ball. They got a lot of guys who can shoot the ball. They're athletic. They play really hard. There's, to be quite honest, there's not a whole lot that don't do well. So, there's a reason they were ranked in the top 25 a week or two ago, and it's pretty evident why.
David, how much did that win over Michigan State a few years ago change the whole perception of that program among other college basketball teams?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, if you just look at the body of work that he's done since he's been there, it's pretty impressive. And then I know, they obviously got a win in the tournament last year as well. And I mean, they were pretty much right there this year, just got upset in the conference tournament. But if you watch any game that they play at home, whether it's regular season and whatnot, or even their game today against Vermont, just the crowd support they have and everything, it's just, he's built that into, not even really a mid-major anymore. I'd hate to even call it that. It's almost along the lines of, a St. Mary's or maybe a future Gonzaga. I mean, obviously he's leaving, so it'll be determined on what they do moving forward. But I mean, it's a Big Ten program, and I know they're going to be really, really excited to come play us on Sunday.
Are they similar to any of the ACC teams you played? Or?
I don't think they're similar to anybody we've played this year,
right.
Just because they do so many different things. I mean, they literally can play 1-3-1, 2-3 zone, and man-to-man in one single possession, and you just don't see teams like that. And so you have to spend a lot of time preparing for a lot of different things, which is what makes them tough. They're not a team like a Syracuse who just plays a 2-3 zone and doesn't hardly do much else. It's from a preparation standpoint, they're difficult because they give you so many looks. And they played Miami right to the wire earlier this year. They got some good wins against Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. I mean, the only two games they lost in conference were the Marshall Bowl times, but they're a very, very good basketball team, very well coached, experienced, older guys, and guys who are really hungry to play night in, night out.
What impresses you about Nick King?
Well, he can score in a variety of ways. I mean, he can score in the post because he's got good size, he's athletic. He can step out and shoot the three, he can score off the bounce. I mean, some of the shots I've seen him make in some of the games I've watched have been impressive, and he's just a very talented player. But then you got, a kid like Potts on the other side who is, I think, the leading three-point shooter in the history of the school, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, they can really, really score. They play a lot of guys, and defensively they play about as hard as any team you'll come across.
Have you noticed, since the win the other night, have you noticed any change in the enthusiasm, demeanor? I mean, I don't know how they were before the game, but more enthusiastic, or
they're what they have been all year. Just happy to be around each other and get to play basketball. And it's kind of a long break in between games. I mean, you got essentially 5 days, so you're not going to practice for 5 straight days. But with this week being spring break, we've tried to do some things just to keep them together, doing some stuff, take them out to eat, do things like that. But they love being around each other. They love hanging out with each other, and every time they step foot in the gym, they come to work. So that hasn't changed all year, and it certainly hasn't changed now.
So one of those things that you guys did was laser tag last night, according to Greg Paul's tweet. Who won that?
Depends who you ask.
Did you win?
No, I didn't partake, but I heard Coach Johnson was very, very good at it. So I'll leave it at that.
You're probably happy that you had 5 games with this team, right? I mean,
yeah,
I mean 5 days.
Like I said, you're not going to spend 5 days preparing. I mean, we wouldn't do that in the regular season. So, no, just because you don't want to overkill your team. I mean, if you spend 5 days going over the same thing over and over and over, I mean, you're going to get burned out on it. So, we just got to. You want to stay fresh, but you also don't want to overkill. And it's like I said, with no school taking place right now, there's a lot of time. So, you don't want to go doubles for 5 straight days because by the time you get to the game, you're just burnt out. But with it being March 16th or whatever it is, you're not going to change a whole lot from what you do. You just got to look at a lot of film. You got to make sure you get a good, short but hard and productive practice in, and just get ready for the next game.
What was the best burn for Trent for his reaction to Darius Perry's game?
Well, so I'm not on Twitter or anything, but somebody came to me after the game and showed me the picture of it, and so I immediately went down the hall and I said, I mean, I know you're not a very exciting person, but can you show a little bit more emotion? And he goes, yeah, it was just a good play. That's all he said. But You know, I was just more worried about Darius getting back on defense, and he stood there yelling at the crowd for seemed like about 10 seconds. And I texted him later that night because I went home and I turned on ESPN and I saw that he was #1 on SportsCenter. I said the only reason they gave you #1 is because it was your birthday, so don't expect it to happen again. But, nah, it was the funny thing about it. The whole time Trump was yelling, "Lay it in," and then all of a sudden, you know, he didn't. But that's why you love Darius, just because he can do something like that, but then he can also come down when there's 1:45 left in the game and you're up 6 or 8 and he tries to throw it behind the back pass to somebody on a 1-on-2 break. So, but that's Darius for him. I mean, it's kind of, I guess that's how Russ used to be a little bit. I don't think Darius is quite that extreme, but you know, coaching guys like that will turn your hair gray pretty quickly.
Having seen the crowd show up last game, what do you expect on Sunday?
Well, I know we've already sold, if I'm not mistaken, almost as many tickets as we sold total for the last game, and we still obviously have 2 more days to go. So I think it'll be another incredible crowd. Our players were saying that was, you know, besides Virginia and probably the North Carolina whiteout game, that was probably the loudest crowd we had all year. And it's just, you know, it just goes to show how great these fans in this town are. They love supporting this team. They love watching basketball, and you know, even though we're not in the NCAA, which was our goal, they still come out to support these players. And to me, that says a lot about Louisville and what Louisville's all about.
David, did they say how quickly they can transform the court from the women's game earlier that day to your all's men's game?
Well, I know the only thing I think they really have to do is put the logos on, but they'll paint the 3-point line and the lane line. And they did it here in our gym the next day after the selection show. Like 10 o'clock in the morning, we practiced at 3, so it doesn't take real long. I mean, it dries pretty quickly, but you know, when you sweat and stuff, it's a water-based paint, so it comes up a little bit. But I mean, I don't think it takes real long, just a couple hours. So.
Now that you've had a couple days to reflect on some of those rule changes, what do you think about just the new style of basketball that you saw the other night?
You know, I don't think the on-court stuff really changed the players at all. To be honest, I think the biggest thing was, and I think Q mentioned it, when they were shooting free throws, they still lined up on the same line, just out of habit. But other than that, I don't think there was a big difference. You know, quarter-wise, it seems like it adds more timeouts. Now, that's not really true because you still have 4 media timeouts during the course of a game. But, you know, I like the free throw thing different or better, personally. I like shooting just 2 free throws instead of the 1-on-1. I think it kind of just helps with the rhythm of the game a little bit. And you know, other than that, I didn't really notice a whole lot of change, to be honest. You know, maybe ask the players, but I don't think they really noticed it either, because usually they're shooting just where that black line is anyways.
Not even with the lane, another way to edge out the big man a little bit?
No, I mean, how many times in a game, honestly, does a post player really catch the ball with 2 feet in the lane? You know, he's usually catching it outside the lane anyways. Now, if it was the NBA and there was the 3-second defensive rule, I think that's where you would notice a big change. But since there's not, defensively, it doesn't really change anything either.
Everybody healthy?
Yep, everybody's good. Knock on wood.